Okay, in this video, I'm going to begin to go through some examples of the more involved word problems that are presented in Chapter 2, Section 5. The Wildlife Refuge Rangers tagged 144 deer. They estimated that they have tagged 36% of the deer in the refuge. If they're correct, approximately how many deer are in the refuge? So the first thing that we see here is that we want to find x. Let x be the number of deer in the refuge. So one of the first things that I always want to do when I'm solving a word problem is figure out what it is that I'm being asked for, because that's the unknown, or at least that will put me on the path to finding what it is that I need to use to answer the question. So what we do know is this: 36% of the deer were tagged. So 0.36 times the number tagged is equal to 144. So all we need to do at that point is divide both sides by 36% or 0.36, and we get that x is equal to 400 deer in the reserve, right? So 0.36 times the number in the reserve, the number of deer in the reserve, gives you 144 tagged deer. If we solve that for x, we get the total number of deer in the reserve. Let's go on. The next question, student practice 1. Technology Resources Incorporated sold 6,900 computer workstations. That was a 15% increase in sales over the previous year. How many computer workstations were sold last year? So again, I would ask, what is it that I'm looking for? I'm looking for the number of workstations sold last year. Now they happen to give you the hint here to say let X equal the amount of sales last year. Then we know that on top of the sales from last year, we had a 15% increase. So they also tell you that if X is the sales from last year, then 0.15x will be the increase in sales over last year. So what we're going to have here is last year's sales plus the increase, and that would be 0.15x, is going to give us this year's sales, which we know to be 6,900. So the only thing that we have to do here is to add the common or the like terms, x plus 0.15x. Remember, you can always think of a 1 in front of the x, and that's like adding $1.15 to give us 1.15x is equal to 6,900, dividing by 1.15 on both sides, and we end up with x being $6,000. So 6,000 workstations. Hopefully the company didn't just make $6,000. 66,000 workstations sold last year. And we could multiply 0.15 times 6,000, and you would find that that's an increase of 900 machines. And so you would have a total of 6,000 plus 900 increased, or 6,900 sales this year. Okay, let's go on to the next. Remember that you can pause this at any time and replay if you're not understanding something that I've said. Okay, example 2. Bob and Marcia's weekly salaries total $265. If they both went from part-time to full-time employment, their combined weekly income would be $655. Bob's salary would double, while Marcia's salary would triple. How much do they each make now? So what am I being asked for? I'm being asked for how much each of them make right now. So let's just let B equal Bob's salary now. And let's let M be Marcia's salary now. All right, so what are some things that we know? Currently, Bob and Marcia's weekly salaries total $265. So we could say B plus M is equal to 265. Now, if they went to full-time employment, then Bob's salary would double. So 2B plus Marcia's salary would triple. So 3M is equal to $655 is what they would be making if they both went full time. So what can we do with this information? Well, we can, first of all, we can solve the first equation, B plus M is equal to 265, and we can subtract, well, let's subtract B from both sides, and we end up with Marcia's salary is 265 minus B. If they both make 265 together, then you take away Bob's salary currently, that would leave you with Marcia's salary currently. So what we're going to do with that is we're going to replace M in the second equation. So for example, we know that Bob's salary will double, but another name or another way of phrasing Marcia's salary is 265 minus whatever Bob is making. And together they still have to add up to be $655. So this equation is a lot more complicated than other ones that we've been working with. 2b plus, here we're going to distribute 3 times 265. That's going to give us $795 minus 3b adds up to 655. Now, if we were to combine like terms, 2b minus 3b would give us a negative b plus 795 equals 655. Subtracting 795 on both sides of that equation leaves us with negative b is equal to negative $140. All we would need to do at this point, multiply both sides by -1, or you could divide both sides by -1, and we end up with b is equal to $140. So that means that Bob's salary is $140 currently, and if together they make $265, remember that here we have an equation to calculate Marcia's salary if we know Bob's, and since Bob's is 140, that must mean that Marcia's would be 125 for a total of $265. Now, if we doubled Bob's, we would have $280. If we tripled Marcia's, we would have $375, and at that point we would have 655, and so everything checks out here. All right, let's go on to the next problem. Okay, together Alicia and Heather sold 43 cars at Prestige Motors last month. If Alicia doubles her sales and Heather triples her sales next month, they will sell 108 cars. How many cars did each person sell this month? So what are we looking for? We're looking for the number sold by each person this month. So let A equal number of cars sold by Alicia. Let H equal the number of cars sold by Heather. All right. Do we know anything about it? Yes. We know that last month together they sold 43 cars. So we could have A plus H is equal to 43. Now, if Alicia doubles her sales and Heather triples her sales, Together they will sell 108 cars. Now, we've already seen how we can work with this. We're simply going to solve the first equation for A or H, doesn't matter. Subtracting H from both sides would leave me with A is equal to 43 minus H. If together they sold 43 cars, if you take away the cars sold by Heather, that leaves you with the number sold by Alicia. So now we're going to take that and replace A in the second equation. So another way of phrasing A, the number of cars sold by Alicia, is 43 minus the number of cars sold by Heather. Then we add 3H for the triple the number sold by Heather. The previous month, we get a total of 108. All we're going to do now is distribute. 2 times 43 is 86 minus 2H plus 3H is equal to 108. 86 plus H is equal to 108. Subtracting 86 on both sides leaves us with H being equal to 22. So remember that if Heather sold 22, then Alicia sells 43 minus 22, which would be 43 minus 22, or 21 cars. And you can see that together they do indeed sell 43. Now, what would happen if the number of cars Alicia sells doubles? That would be 42. And if the number of cars sold by Heather triples, that would be 66. And we would end up with 108, and so that does check. All right, so we've done the first two examples and the student practices in Chapter 2, Section 5. We're going to stop this video here and address some remaining problems from that section in the next video.